terribly exciting stuff. She looks at old stuff and figures out all sorts of interesting conclusions, mostly to do with more old stuff. But today she's talking about the meaning of
life.
Of life. A very small, petite little subject we can handle in 6 minutes.
6
Go,
minutes
Barbara.
About meaning of life. Have you ever considered what life is all about? What is the purpose of our life? Well, actually, ancient Sumerian, very wise people who invented writing and who set the base of our civilization about 5,000 years ago in Mesopotamia, they found the answer. Well, the answer is the meaning of life of every human is to dig ditches. Yes, digging ditches for irrigation is the meaning of life according to Sumerian. It's actually quite a big deal because in ancient Mesopotamia, irrigation was the most important factor that made agriculture possible. So Sumerian had to find a way to convince people to do that all the time. And moreover, they had to find a way to convince people not to work for their own profits, but to work for the whole society, and besides that, to give part of the harvest as a taxes. So they did it. Actually, Sumerian told people that long back in time, gods were digging ditches. There are myths about gods that were digging ditches. They were very tired, so they created humans to replace them in that work. So digging ditches is not only the purpose of our life, it's the reason we exist. Most of us could think that, okay, I have nothing to do with some ditches, but, well, how many times in your life have you heard the question, what you are going to do in your life? What's your occupation? What will be your occupation after these studies? How it will look like in your CV, etc., etc. Or how many times we say something like, I'm not into that subject, but it will look good in my CV, as if the CV would be the most important thing in our life. Most of us are working for someone, and most of us are setting minds in subject we actually personally don't care. The special example are soldiers who are going to war without any personal purpose, but with some beliefs, no matter how stupid they are. Well, we usually don't think about our own purpose because we don't have time, and when we finally have time, we spend that time on stupid things, on playing Farmville, on commenting gossip. And, well, when sometimes someone starts to think about own life, about what is real my purpose of life, it is usually at the moment when he is really short of time, when he is close to the end. Where, on the contrary, let's see some examples. For example, Sargon the Great, king of Akkad, being at my age, I don't know if I look very old right now, but Sargon the Great, being at my age, already conquered the whole Mesopotamia and built the first empire in history. And Naram-Sin, grandson of Sargon, here on the picture, being at my age, became a god. He was one of gods. He has his own temple. So he was the first person in history that became a god during his life. So that brings us the question that we all should ask ourselves. Do we really use our time wisely? Actually, there is one important thing we should know. that we have much more power to influence the future than we think. Because all of us are standing in line between our ancestors and our offsprings. Our parents gives us some informations that they have from their parents. And it could be some things like tradition, like recipes, like savoir-vivre, but very often there are bad information. Very often we get from our parents fear, aggression, maybe something worse, maybe passivity, maybe alcoholism, maybe something much worse. And we have the power to stop that things that comes from the past and let only good things farther into future. The pretty simple example, my best friend lately quit smoking. And it was very difficult for him because he was smoking for many, many years. But it was actually very difficult because it wasn't him who exactly started smoking. His father was smoking, his grandfather, grand-grandfather, and probably it was one guy, maybe 100 years ago, maybe 200, maybe 5,000 years ago, who started smoking. And since that time, people were doing that in his family, and children were addicted from the very beginning of their life. And my friend made an effort, and he stopped that line, that situation. And he gives himself, and probably his children and grandchildren and grand-grandchildren, the chance to live without this addiction. Actually, all of us, we do have very little time to change our lives. We have very little time to learn how to be smart and brave and how to have our own purposes before we will have to teach our children how to live. Because, well, if we won't learn anything, we will teach them to dig ditches again. And in fact, what we will do today, will we watch TV or play in Farmville again? Or will we do something important for us? Will we do something that maybe we are really scared of? Could really change the history.